So just to get started, I'm Linda Welbrock, co-founder of Own It Ventures.
And I'm Melissa Gasnick-Clater, the other co-founder.
And we're just going to briefly tell you a little bit about, who we are and a little bit about our history and how we've come to this point today. Basically, we came up with an idea because we were both in transition. I worked for a publication. I ended up getting laid off. Melissa had her own consulting business, and she needed to shift gears because of the state of economy. And we actually used to work together and put on large-scale events. And we came up with this idea of, because the world is in such transition, let's put an event together that can motivate and inspire women entrepreneurs and help women in business either shift gears and get to the next level, or if they have an idea in their head, give them the resources that they need in order to get started in basically reaching their dreams. And we have, again, the experience in putting events on. I actually have an MBA in female entrepreneurship, believe it or not. Nobody would imagine that exists, but it does. And so we kind of put all of our resources together. And the first event we did, that's it, 2 clicks. It all began with an idea. This is very nice.
I know. My PowerPoint presentation.
Right. So we came up with the name Entrepreneur Expose. We rebranded recently, as you might discover. We're now called Own It Ventures. Unfortunately, entrepreneur was very difficult for people to spell, and expose was a R-rated term in the virtual world, so we were getting spammed out. On top of all that, somebody had trademarked Entrepreneur Expose, so in Texas or something, so we figured, before we get sued, let's just come up with a better name altogether. But lesson to be learned, right? If you're picking a name, do your research first.
And I might add, Liz Ziggity is our attorney, and she told us about that expose, Entrepreneur Expose, was trademarked, and we needed to switch names. So, if you think you don't need legal assistance when you're really setting up a serious business, I'm plug for you here, but it's true. I mean, we would have saved so much time and money and everything, but anyway, live and learn. What we've pulled together, quite frankly, we've personally and professionally experienced a lot of it. So, this was our first Entrepreneur Expose that we held late October of 2009, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. And we were like, okay, if we have 100 women that are willing to attend and maybe 15 companies exhibiting, that'll be a huge success. And we ended up with the gubernatorial candidates showed up, over 300 women were there. We had over 65 businesses exhibiting. And it was quite exciting. Obviously, we were onto something. What did we do different than a lot of other groups? Because there's a lot of great groups out there and great conferences. We provided an opportunity for women to pitch their business to angel investors and to the media, and we recently added to retail buyers. In providing those opportunities, we created a niche for ourselves, and the niche is for women that want to grow serious, scalable, sustainable businesses. And that's what we're all about. So thus we rebranded to Own It Ventures.
So we have this PowerPoint presentation, and if anybody here has done any studying on what holds women entrepreneurs back, there is a lot of things, unfortunately, that hold us back. The number one challenge is access to capital, hence our panel here today, and why we put these tangible ways to address some of these challenges into the events and now into our online community. So we, like Melissa just said, pitching to angel investors, just that exercise in itself and is extremely valuable. It's very educational, but also we're connecting you with some people who could help you. Whether or not you get funding, we're hoping you do. And it's our goal to bring more women entrepreneurs to the $1 million mark and above, because less than 3% of them make it to that mark, which is very scary, especially since women are starting businesses 2 to 1 compared to their male counterparts. So we believe that if more women had access to capital and had access to strong networks and had access to ways that they could increase their sales and distribution and get the word out in the media, that these are all ways that they could begin to succeed and begin to reach their dreams and basically begin to change the world and change this economy. So these are some of the statistics you may have seen, but they're very interesting, and this will be running throughout the day. So you might ask yourself, we have these one event, this one big event we started with, and the reason we have evolved into what we are today is because women like yourselves were coming to the event saying, this is great, we get to pitch, this is such a great day, but how can we connect with you? Oops, that was my alarm, sorry about that. How can we connect with these women on an everyday basis and in between these big events? So Melissa and I took what we were doing at the events and translated everything we do there into an online community, which we now call Own It Ventures. So if you go to ownitVentures.com, you will see that it's kind of a interface like Facebook and LinkedIn for women entrepreneurs. And we're going to be doing educational webinars, and there's also a marketplace where women can upload their products and sell their products to the outside world and then also to our memberships and announce anything they want. So if they have product launches or events or basically they're trying to recruit, we have a barter area. So if you have a graphic designer who needs legal services, or maybe not legal services, it probably can't be bartered, but you get my point. I don't know if it can or can't. But there's a barter area, there's a recycling area, because we strongly believe in, hey, if I have an old fax machine that still works, but I upgraded, let's just not throw it out and have it end up in a landfill. Let's give it to another entrepreneur who could possibly use that, who has some low cash flow issues right now. So we have all that going on in this website, which is really amazing, and it's very well received right now.
Our long-term vision is that each profile, business profile of our members, you're actually creating your business portfolio. And you will be able to upload all the information that you need about your business, including where you want to go, and to help us connect you with investors, with retail buyers, and with the media that's coming to us all the time saying, hey, we have a story, and you know of someone that, this is what we're looking for, blah, 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 and we can tap into our membership, or they can tap into our membership by being a member and saying, you know what, I'm really interested in that. Conversely, also with the angel investors, as being a part of our network, they would be able to, behind the scenes, see what's coming up, what businesses are available, and then make a connection on, you know what, I'm really interested, I want to see a little bit more about that. Same thing with the retail buyers. So that's the vision of where we want to take Own It Ventures and our members. That being said, you can still come to any of our events, and you don't have to join. Just because there's such value in the whole coming to the conferences, coming to the road shows. Our road shows, our plan is that they will be quarterly, they will be educational like today is going to be, and really an opportunity for women in a very safe environment to ask the experts and professionals serious questions about, what they need to grow their companies, okay?
This is maybe...
Yeah, this is our homepage, just to give you an example. This is where I put my little, keep going. Keep going. I added animation. Here, this is what I get for trying to be fancy. Some of the membership privileges, which is also in the things that we have for you to pick up. Go ahead. Oh, this is our an example of a profile where you can see there's a video library. You can tap into the resources, the multimedia. You can add up your own webinars and video clips and things like that if you want to. We have a blog, and then of course the marketplace where you can upload and unlimited postings. If you don't have a website, you can actually sell off of this website. If you do have a website, you can put a link to your own website. Okay, it's another exposure marketing piece for you. And that's an example of the marketplace with the different categories are down below. Oh, yes, we received recognition from the state of New Jersey in March, a formal resolution from the state assembly, and that was pretty cool for our work in trying to encourage and foster entrepreneurial growth, real serious growth for women entrepreneurs, and changing the statistics. Yeah, what we're going to do is right now, I'm going to, this is our upcoming conference. That's on October 29th. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Liz Ziggety. Liz Ziggety is an attorney and a partner with Fox Rothschild. Fox Rothschild has been with us since the beginning. They've been a huge supporter of what we're doing. It's been just greatly appreciative, and they understand the vision and the importance and value of really helping women entrepreneurs and business owners scale up their companies. Liz is also a founder of Delaware Crossing Angel Group over in Pennsylvania. So we're getting the double little expert in Liz. She is the main attorney for the franchise group for Fox Rothschild. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Liz, and then she'll introduce the rest of the panel. Thank you.
And thank you. It has been an honor for Fox Rothschild to be involved with Own Adventures. It's a great name, by the way. It's hard to think of a good name. We have been involved since the beginning, and we're also honored to sponsor and host the event today, and I hope you all learn a lot. We're going to start with introductions, and I'm actually going to ask the panelists who are well known to me and also who have attended prior events for Own Adventures, and they've also been strong supporters and involved in this organization, to please introduce themselves. Christian Ossoff, would you start?
Good morning, I'm Christian Ossoff. Started several companies, sold them mostly in the technology area. A lot of my expertise is in pharmaceutical shipping and logistics, and I'm, I guess, an angel investor looking for opportunities. So I'm one of the people that you'll be pitching to, and I guess we'll talk more about that later.
Catherine O'Neill.
I'm Catherine O'Neill. I'm the Executive Director of Jumpstart New Jersey Angel Network, which is an early stage group of investors in the Mid-Atlantic region. So typical angel investment. My background is finance as well as a lot of internet and biotech. Should we turn these on? Or?
Yes, just pull that a little closer.
Is this better? Okay.
Yes.
So we're active investors, always looking to see new businesses.
And as they already introduced, my name is Liz Ziggety. I guess I have a few different identities. First and most important, I'm a mother of 4 children, age 14, 12, 10, and 8. I am a partner at Fox Rothschild. I am head of the franchise distribution practice, but I'm also, and have been doing finance for at least 21 or more years now. I'm a member of the venture capital and technology practice groups, and I also do a lot of M&A and general corporate work. And lastly, I am a managing director of Delaware Crossing Investor Group, and what Melissa does not know is that we have crossed the river. Delaware Crossing is the Delaware River, and our vision always was to start in Pennsylvania, and now we have a new chapter in Princeton. So we have crossed, and so we have the Delaware Crossing, Pennsylvania, and Delaware Crossing, New Jersey. We are regional investors. Yes, thank you. We're very excited. We are regional investors. We invest. We're industry agnostic, though it still does have to fit within a high growth type of industry. You know, whether it's technology or biotech or green or something else that can ramp quickly. But we invest in companies located in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, and Delaware principally. So if you're nobody here is a Texas company, but it's surprising how often they try to call. So, but we'll get into that. I just wanted to say one thing quickly to focus on, and that's why I think you're all here, and that's why there are separate pitching classes or panels, pitching to the media, pitching to buyers, pitching to investors are all very different pitches. Too often you hear as an angel investor a pitch from somebody who maybe hasn't presented to angels before or to VCs. An angel is an early stage venture capital, a seed stage funder. You hear how wonderful the product is, but you don't hear why it's a good investment. And those are two separate things, and we're going to get into those details as we go along. Any other opening comments, or should we launch into? Okay, we're launching into PowerPoint. Am I doing this? Okay. I'm doing the first one, and then I'll sit down and let them do most of the talking. The first thing is, as the angel investors will be learning about you, remember that an angel investor usually is somebody investing their own money. It's not the same as a VC who's raised money from other people and who is doing this as their job. These people are often not being paid for what they're doing. They're doing it in their spare time, and they're investing their own hard-earned money. And you have to have a certain amount of understanding for that, both when they don't respond as quickly as you want or when they ask some really tough questions, that's where they're coming from. There are different types of angel investors. There's individuals or super angels. You might hear that. That's the dream. Everybody wants to find the super angel who'll just give them, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or individuals. Maybe Kristen is more of an individual investor. We tried to have a variety here. Then there's angel funds where the members all give $50,000 a year, and there's a fund and it's a majority vote type of situation. And you'll be working with a due diligence team, a subset of the group, and then the group will vote, and it'll be a majority vote on whether or not you get funded. And then there's angel networks, which is what Delaware Crossing is. And for Delaware Crossing, you'd go through a screening process. They screen all the applicants. They ask certain companies to come present, and then each individual member of the network will decide if they want to invest. And we'll invest as a group and we'll coordinate, but it's an individual investment decision. There are also more venture capital type funds in the early stage world. First round, next stage, Osage, where people actually do work there. They raise money from other people, but they invest in very early stage companies. So there are what I call professional angel funds, I suppose, also out there that you could pitch to. And we mentioned the individual investors. What especially with the more volunteer networks, they usually have web pages. They usually have information out there. You should find out what they invest in. I'm always surprised at how often I get calls from, as I said, people in Texas or California. We just do not invest in those companies. We want to be able to drive and have a relationship with our companies. Not only do we want to fund them, but we want to know what they're about. If we have resources or people they should meet or get to know, we want to help them. And ideally, we'd like to have one of our members to be on their board of directors, or at least an advisor who can come to their meetings on a regular basis. That's the kind of relationship we want. So we're not going to go invest in a company far off. And it will put on our website, DelawareCrossing.org, there are criteria, things we look for, how to apply, everything like that. And that's true with most angel groups. So look and see, Jumpstart New Jersey specializes in certain industries, maybe technology companies. There are also angel groups out there who invest in women-led businesses. Golden Seeds is one in this area that you guys might want to learn about. They invest in women-led and owned businesses, and that's it. Men can work there and be a large presence, but that's what they're most interested in. There's also angel groups that invest in minority-led businesses. So if you go to the Angel Capital Association website, and that's a national angel organization, Angel Capital Association, they list a lot of the angel groups nationwide. And you can sort of surf through there and figure out which ones might work for you and do some research. It's a great, if a group's a member of that organization, usually that means they've been around for a while, they know what they're doing, that they're a good, solid group. So you should...
Can I make a comment here, Liz?
Yes, absolutely.
The Angel Capital, I happen to be on the board of the Angel Capital Association, which really represents a couple hundred angel groups throughout the United States. There's some interesting things there for entrepreneurs at the site, and there's some good practices. There's documents that you can take a look at, term sheets. And so it's one of those things to take a look at and be aware of as a resource.
Yes, and we're very lucky to have, it's a big deal to be on that board, so he's.
Catherine, can you repeat that website?
It's called it's angelcapitalassociation.org.
Thank you.
And it will give a list for all these different, a lot of the groups that are associated with it, and there's some really sort of good standards to be a member of the ACA.
And the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll see if anybody, if Kristen or Catherine have more to say on this topic before we move to our next topic, is the application process. How does the angel group like you to apply? For example, Delaware Crossing and many angel groups use AngelSoft, which is a web-based system for applications. You would submit your application directly into AngelSoft. We do not, if you mail us something, we don't use those. We take all our applications off of our page on AngelSoft, and that's it. You can get the link through our website. It's very easy to do, and then often other angel groups will also use AngelSoft, and you can just recreate your application for them. It actually makes it very easy. In addition, AngelSoft will spit out an executive summary, which Catherine's going to talk about, which is in a form that a lot of angel groups are used to. So you end up with this, hopefully, fairly good executive summary that you can just copy and use for other people as well. But the process is long, usually. If you don't have a lead investor, somebody who's really helping you pitch, I mean, often you'll have a lead investor, then other investors will come in and fill out the round. If you have a $1 million round, usually an angel group's not going to be able to do that on its own, and they're going to work, Jumpstart would work with Delaware Crossing, there'd be some other individuals in the group like Kristen, and we'd all get together and fund your company. So if you don't have a lead investor and you're just starting out, count on a long time. It can be 2 months at best, 5 or 6 months maybe at worst. If they decide you're not ready and they just want to track you, maybe they're going to ask you to come back when you've got this, that, and the other thing done. So it's not good to go to an angel group and say, listen, I need the money in 2 weeks, because they're just not going to want to deal with it. So it also makes you look like a last-minute person, which is not a favorable impression. So it's not good to come and do a sense for urgency thinking that'll get more attention. That usually is not a good tact. Usually it'll be like, okay, well, if you need it in 2 weeks, you need to find somebody else who can work faster than us. So, not to say there aren't miracles, but it's just not generally the way it works. Do you guys have anything else on sort of the...
I was going to add,
It's working? I think the time can't really be understated enough. A lot of times people come, they're looking for money, and you realize you need money almost a little bit too late. And I think the other component, outside of the due diligence that takes place, the research you go through your company, people investigating your background is, and I can tell you this from personal experience, people like to date a little while. And I always use the analogy of dating. So before I'm going to put money, or even before VCs have put money in my companies, and I've raised over $100 million in my life, they want to date you for a little while. And they're not even really doing due diligence. They're just going to meet you for a drink. They're going to see how you do under stress. They're going to see how you're hitting milestones that you already talked about. And there's no way to do that without 3, sometimes 6 monthly way. I've gone as much as 9 months waiting for investments to come in. It was a multi-million-dollar investment, so it was worth the wait. But they waited 9 months. And the whole time, they didn't make any commitments along the way. They didn't say it's definitely coming in 9 months. They said, oh, you hit another milestone, good. Oh, none of you are freaks, that's good so far, so good. Nobody's committed a crime, excellent. And they can do the research and the background in the first week, so that's not the issue. The issue is now going to be, are you delivering on the small little promises you made along the way for them to cough up their money? Because they have, it's like investing in a stock. You don't know, the day after you make the investment, if that stock tanks, you're really upset about it. So the best thing they can do, they actually want to push the time out a lot of times. I do. Before I make an investment, I want to see how much money does this, entrepreneur have? How far can I push it before I make my investment to make sure they still succeed and I have enough time to date and make sure that everything's as, normal as can be, I guess.
And I'll add something to that too, which is really sort of funny. Liz is talking about the investigation of the angel groups, and I will bet that before Christian gets ready to write that check, he does a background check too. Because now most all angel investor groups do two things. They do a background check on both their investors as new members, and they do a background check on those company CEOs that we're investing in. Because everything may have worked out, and then something comes up that's really a game blocker in the background check. But that's rare, only because. But it does occur. So if you're putting money in and you don't know actually the history of the person, you know what they're like now. So just throw that out there as a point about the process.
Yes, all this leading to the point that the person running that company is almost as important as the product itself. So, all right, let's move forward to, I think Christian's going to lead this part. And you can stand or sit, whatever you feel.
If I walk around, can everyone hear me without, I'll just pretend I have a microphone on. I talk with my hands way too much to hold that. All right, so we're going to talk about the elevator pitch. Elevator pitch, yes, everybody asks me, does it really need to be no more than 60 seconds? I think that's a lot. I think you should look for 30 seconds, and you need to have it down perfectly. So people have this idea that they can just, I can do it off the top of my head. No, you cannot. Right? Bottom line, you cannot. What you want to do is you want to pretend you're in an elevator, pretend you've got 30 seconds, grab your little smartphone, start it, and do your pitch. No uns, no none of that. If you do one of those, you did something wrong. So I always say, when you do the Pledge of Allegiance, you can still say it with love and affection. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America. You can do the whole thing without a single You know it, and you can say it passionately. You need to be that way about your pitch. You need to speak about your product, your company, yourselves, your team, that way. I always say, think like a movie. Right? If I tell you it's a little bit like Titanic meets Gremlins, it doesn't mean anything, but you've already kind of have an idea in your head about what I'm talking about. A giant ship that goes down with little monsters on it. I can shortcut, right? And everybody does that. Pitching a company to the Hollywood is like pitching a movie when you go in to pitch a movie. I think earlier today, Linda, you said it's like Facebook and LinkedIn. Everybody had an idea in their heads right away. Oh, okay, got it. So when you have that 30 seconds, when you have those 45 seconds, think of shortcuts. And somebody asked me once a while back on something like this. He said, "But what if I make a reference that they don't get?" Well, chances are you don't want that person anyway, right? So it's okay to be yourself when you're pitching, because back to dating, when you're looking for an investment, you want to date someone like you. You want to get money from someone like you. You want to get money from someone who has the same values, same ideas, same interests, same passion that you have. Right? So it's okay if you say, like Gremlins, Titanic, and you tell me, I've never seen those movies, we're probably not going to spend a lot of time together. Not that they were my favorite movies, but there's a cultural reference there that is important, and don't minimize that. So the goal, get the idea bouncing around their heads. Right? You've got that 30 second, right? I'm jumping ahead a little bit. What's the goal of an elevator pitch? Everybody here knows the goal, right? The goal is to get more time. That's it. The goal is not to get an investment. The goal is not to have them whip out their checkbooks. The goal is to get the idea in their heads and get another opportunity to talk. And maybe not to that person. So if I have 30 seconds with a partner of a law firm, I speak to her, she might not be the right person, but she goes, oh, you know what? My husband's friend, my neighbor's roommate, this would be perfect for them. So you've got to get the keywords in there. Know the hot buttons. Know the things you want to mention. Right? Everybody in this room at this point should have some idea of things you want to say about your company. It's for the future. It's green. It's biotech. It's pharmaceutical. Right? There's certain things you don't want to say. We find it very challenging that. No. Mention no bad. Feel free to exaggerate, gild the lily, BS, whatever you want to call it, in that 30 seconds. Right? Again, your goal is just to get them to listen to some more. So you want to almost, perhaps exaggerate. I'm not telling you to lie. But all you want is that next meeting. That you need to be laser-like focused on that, because you're not going to get the check at that meeting. Always talk money, market, and opportunity. Right? So you want to talk about what you're doing, how you're doing. Oh my, I'm swimming in cash. It's so embarrassing. But you want to be upbeat about it. And listen, people know. It's like, I was talking to a friend of mine who was doing their resume, and they said, oh, should I exaggerate? I said, you have to exaggerate. Everybody exaggerates a little bit on their resume, and that's almost expected on the other side, that there's a little bit of exaggeration on your resume.